forget. Yeah. Um,
Wait, you didn't record that part where I said the president is a fifth grader? You didn't record that? Get that on. Get that
Now
on.
it's recording.
Okay, well,
We got
good.
it now.
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah,
Loud
he
and
got stuff.
clear.
You know, we cannot, I repeat, we cannot have fifth graders leading intellectual, articulate, creative college students such as yourself. We cannot do that. We cannot have fifth graders do that. Okay, you know, we need someone who has the intellectual capacity to make good decisions, you know, good resolutions, and be open to students, parents, alumni, etc. Okay, and the guy is not. Okay, the guy is not. So he got to go. Okay, so okay.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, so getting started with the first question, speaking of other alumni, the first question we had actually was, who were some of the lesser known but influential leaders or faculty members during the formation of ethnic studies at SMC?
Okay, so we didn't have that many faculty members before uh we didn't have that many faculty members of color before we had our ethnic studies program. They kind of came like during that time we were advocating for that. Can you all hear me okay? Can you hear me okay? Okay, okay. So the uh the primary person who led us was Odell Johnson. Odell Johnson is a former dean. Well, we only had men at that. It was only guys at that time. He was a former dean of men, and then when the women came, he transitioned to being dean of students. Odell Johnson is a St. Mary's graduate. He also played basketball for the school, and I'm sure Alexis will be interested in this. He was like the player of the century. St. Mary's, during our era, they designated a player of the century. Odell Johnson was that player. Now, of course, like Odell had been, you know, out of St. Mary's for like years and years and years. I mean, Odell at that time when I was in school, he was a father figure to me, and you know, he supported us. He was there for the basketball, the first basketball boycott. He was there for that, which we stopped a home basketball game. We also stopped a home baseball game between St. Mary's and Brigham Young University. And just reiterating Brigham Young, they said that you know, African Americans couldn't get to heaven, African Americans could be in the priesthood. So when we learned that, we wouldn't allow them to play baseball at St. Mary's. So we occupied the baseball field. Like one guy drove his car. Herman was telling you in our first class, one guy drove his car on the pitcher's mound. So that stopped that. So Odell was very supportive of us while we were there. We also worked with Odell to bring on a coordinator for Black students and a coordinator for Chicano students. Those two coordinator positions, Odell helped us to bring those positions on campus. So Odell Johnson, also he was fired after the school fired Odell. That's when we had the 72 basketball boycott. Okay, that's when Herman and I and Leon Collins and we went out on the basketball court and Herman read a statement. We're not playing. We're boycotting because of the racial injustice at the school, and that's all kind of like documented. We sent Professor Viola some documentation of some of those demands. So Odell went on from St. Mary's to become president of Laney College in Oakland. He's very renowned. There's a building there named after Odell Johnson. So his legacy will be one that is lasting. Okay. He's not going to live forever, but his name and his works will live forever. So he's one person I wanted to bring your attention to, Odell Johnson. The other person I wanted to bring your attention to is Reggie LeMay. Reginald LeMay is from Pittsburgh. Reginald LeMay would help to form the first Black student union at St. Mary's College in 1968. 1968. He helped to form the first one there. Now, um, there were some African American students there, but I'm not sure if they formed into a BSU. But so Reggie was the first Black Student Union president there. Reggie went on to, after leaving St. Mary's, he went on from there to be a professor at UCLA, and he's currently a professor at a community college in Pittsburgh, right, history professor, that is. So Reggie was very instrumental also in bringing Black studies to St. Mary's. He was very instrumental in bringing the two special coordinator positions for Black students and for Chicano students. He was instrumental in that. We decided that we wanted to run for positions in student government. Reggie engineered and orchestrated. He orchestrated my um, uh, ascendance into the position of a class representative. You know, I was a sophomore class representative. So Reggie helped. Reggie. You know, he encouraged me to do it. You know, I didn't really want to do it. I was reluctant to do it, and then we had to do campaign. He helped me with that. He helped me with the speech. You know, he was just he was really and he kind of like encouraged us to stay on task. You know, when it comes to academics. Okay, so Reginald LeMay from Pittsburgh, uh, uh, Kamal Abdul-Jabbar. Well, I'll just talk about both of them. Kamal Abdul-Jabbar, I've known him since I was in the eighth grade. He came to St. Mary's. We both came to St. Mary's from Cathedral High School. Okay, um, his brother came a year after we came. Salim Abdul-Jabbar. He came from high school in Watts. We're all from South Central Los Angeles. He came from high school in Watts. So um, they were very instrumental in our movement. They were very strong, very articulate, very determined to effect racial justice at St. Mary's. You know, uh, they participated. The first basketball boycott. When we went and occupied the floor, which I'm going to get to a couple other people in a minute. They were, and then they were also involved in the baseball demonstration where we disrupted and stopped the baseball game. They were involved in bringing the two coordinators there. Also, they were involved in everything. So those are two names I would like for them to be on the right side of history. You know, like when it comes to activism at St. Mary's College. Okay. So now another thing too, I got to say too. Now listen, I may leave somebody out. Okay. You know, when you start going doing this stuff and you get as old as I am, you know, you'll be forgetting certain things. And I don't want anybody to take this personally thing like that. But I'll go right quickly through everybody who I can name. Okay. Roy Brown, Herman Brown's older brother. Um, so we had a major influx of African American students in 1969. That's when I came in. That's when Kamal came in. Okay, and some other people also came in there. But uh, Herman's brother was already there as a student athlete, basketball player when we were there, Roy Brown. Roy Brown graduated in 1972. That was the first, what we was just call it third world graduation, Afrocentric graduation. So Roy Brown was also one of the St. Mary's Five who boycotted, who was part of the boycott, the 72 boycott. So Roy was the first to graduate. Roy went to McClomon's High School in West Oakland, which is also a marginalized community. But he was able to graduate on time within a 4-year study. After 4 years of study, you know, he earned an undergraduate degree. I can't think of what Roy's degree is in right now, but he had good study habits. And Roy kind of modeled for me, you know, kind of like, look, how do you deal with the books? You know, like how you hit the books. You know, so Roy used to use at least one of his study times that was impressed on me the most was Sunday. I know Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock. You're not gonna find Roy, you know, doing anything but being in the library or in his room somewhere. somewhere studying. Okay. Also, in terms of people who are maybe lesser known, Leon Collins. Leon Collins also came from Verbum Day High School in Watts. He came in he came in 1970. He came with Salim Abdul-Jabbaar. Okay, Leon Collins. Um, Also come from Watson, which is a marginalized community. Leon stood with us when Herman read the statement at Santa Clara to start the 72 boycott. Leon stood on one side of Herman and I stood on the other side of Herman. Okay. Um, Leon and I also did a weekly jazz program over there in Augustine Hall on the first floor. There was a library of music over there, mostly jazz, and there was a broadcasting studio over there, which wasn't being used. So when we discovered that, Leon and I entered the studio, and we would at least once a week do jazz programming. And of course, like the music would pipe through, various, places in the school where you had public speakers, public address systems and like that. So we did that. That was and then, Leon also was, I mean, he took uh, we kind of already had everything in place, like maybe like that first year, but that second year, there was probably some loose ends. So Leon was also involved in bringing the two coordinator positions, like into being, and also to bringing the Black Studies piece into fruition. And Leon stood, like for everything, like in the name of racial justice. Leon stood tall for that. And then you have, well, the reason why we had that first boycott was because Nate Carroll and Maurice Harper, they are two of the St. Mary's Five. They came as freshmen, best players on the Frosh basketball team without scholarships. So we had a series of meetings with the basketball coach, with the athletic director, and they were refusing to give them scholarships. So we then uh, you know, uh, boycotted. There was the basketball players, um, Sam Hill, Nate Carroll, Roy Brown, Herman Brown, who boycotted a home basketball game. Kamal, uh, Abdul-Jabbaar, me, Salim Abdul-Jabbaar, we went and stood on the court and would not let anybody play. Okay, so we stayed out there for about 30 minutes, and this to make a statement. And then finally, we let them continue with the game. We made that statement. So shortly thereafter, Nate and Maurice got scholarships. Okay. Now look, one more person, then we'll move to the next question. All right. Because like I said, we'll probably have to revisit this because I know once I get away from here, Alexis, don't be laughing. You says that this old man, he got a bad memory and stuff. Don't be laughing at me, Natalia. All right. So anyway, one more person. Sam Hill. Okay. Whew. Wow. I mean, words won't express the type of man Sam was then and Sam is now. Words won't express. Sam, and back in those days, we had more gender specific definitions for men. Sam was what, I would call a man's man. Sam uh, was actually noted. There's an African American magazine from back in the day called Jet Magazine. Jet Magazine actually covered Natalia, the first boycott we had, and they talked about Sam in there, being the leading scorer of the team, and he participated in the boycott also. Okay, I mean, without question, I mean, all, I mean, Sam was a person who also stood tall against racial justice. Okay, and I don't think Sam will mind me saying it. Sam was a pretty easygoing guy, but Sam was called a racial slur. Okay, somebody racial slurred Sam one night, and see a lot of the things that happen to us never really progressed to the administration. We handle those things like right then and there. I mean, we feel, hey, look, we can self-govern. We can manage a lot of this stuff here where we are on our level. Of course, we were trying to escalate. We were trying to initiate Black studies. We had Herman was doing Black art. We were doing Black music. We read poetry. We did, but we deal with a lot of this stuff right there on the spot. See, situations similar, and I mean, it's nothing to me, because actually, you know, I was kind of like more impulsive then. But if somebody racial slurred me, you wouldn't. I would deal with that right then and there, right then and there. Okay. So, and y'all get what I'm not saying. Okay, y'all know what I'm saying, but then I don't want to really say too much. But I mean, look, oh man. So Sam was that type of person. Sam had that situation, and Sam dealt with that situation right then and there. So Sam was uh, a model. Sam was a model for us. He was older classman, upperclassman. He was a model for us. So I also want Sam to be like placed in this. In this situation here too. So now it's probably gonna be some more people, but that's right there for right now. Okay. Y'all, I mean, y'all go to the next question. Okay.
There we go. My mic wouldn't undo itself. Okay, so the next question we have for you is if you could suggest a few people for future students to interview, who would
Yeah.
be at the top of your list and why? Like similar to what we're doing now.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, a lot of people, unfortunately, have transitioned on. They've passed. They've had transitioned on. Okay. I think that uh, you should interview Elizabeth Sandoval. Elizabeth, Liz, as we call her, of course, she came when the women came. And I can't remember if she came in 70 or 71. I know, let's see something. I think she came in 71, maybe 72. But Liz was very active on campus. Liz is currently drafting a letter to the well, I know she's drafting it to the president, but I'm saying like don't write fifth graders, anything. Let's just see if we can deal with the board of directors, the chairman of the board of CC, everybody. But she's Chicano, she's Latina. She's currently drafting a letter right now to send to the president. As I said, I'm gonna try to get her, because I mean, we've been on the phone since this happened. Okay, text messages, email stuff. We've been since this happened, and so the alumni is organizing to support you. I just need you all at the end of this to tell me how can we best support you. Okay, how can we best support you? Okay, so Liz Sandoval, definitely, she's an attorney, and I think Liz is in a supervisory capacity for the state or for some county or something like that. So Liz Sandoval, that's one person I think. I also think you should send the invitation to Maria Durazo. Maria is a state senator in California or a representative. She has a political position there, and she was also active during that time. So those are two people right now I can I can think of. In of course, uh, now I think also I mentioned one already. Salim Abdul-Jabbar. I think you all should get in touch with him too. I spoke with him this weekend, and he expressed a desire to speak with you all. Okay, so I think so those are the only three I can think of right now. Okay, and as I said too, somebody else is probably going to come to mind later on, but those are three: Liz Sandoval, Maria Durazo, and Salim Abdul-Jabbar. Okay, and I can put you in touch with Salim if you all need to get in touch with Salim. I can put you in touch with him. Liz is going to be, I think I got some information on Liz too. And I'll talk to her and let her know that I recommended, her, for the ethnic studies class. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Musheer.
But that's okay. Don't mention it.
Yeah, thank you. We'll definitely look into that, and we'll
Yeah.
definitely look forward to talking to more people
Yeah.
who are invested in,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
And then our next question would be kind of related to now. It would be, do you think any alumni know about the walkout besides your generation? Why or why not?
I mean, yeah, because over the years, Herman and I have never missed a reunion. Herman and I consider Black life, brown life, and Asian life to be important wherever it is. So we have, come to that school on several occasions to, talk about uh, racial justice, to talk about, like better academic environments, like for students of color. Now, this is something that we've been championing for, for like for a long time. So, like every time we come, someone will mention the chapel protests. Someone will mention the boycott, the 72 boycott. These are the only two things people really know. They know about the 72 boycott. They know about the chapel protest. They don't know about those other actions, we took. The 72 boycott got a lot of media attention. Like this is getting a lot of media attention. What's happening now? The chapel protest got a lot of media attention. Okay. So they know about that. Those are the two main things they know about. What they don't know about, okay, needs to also be of common knowledge. I mean, it wasn't just one or two things, like one or two times, like we went there and stood for racial justice at the school. It was several times. And it was several incidents. What they don't know about is all these racial slurs and stuff like that. We checked all of that. Okay, we didn't need any administration to help us. We didn't need our parents. I I wish. But listen, if I would have told my parents, I mean, listen, there's nothing wrong with this now. Okay, there's nothing wrong with this, because we want to help everybody as much as we possibly can. So I'm just gonna, I don't want that. I'm gonna leave that out. But we dealt with those racial slurs in a variety of different ways. Okay, there's a there's a diplomatic approach you can take. Okay, there's diplomacy, but if diplomacy doesn't work, okay, then you have to resort to other measures. But we did, have, situations where that kind of stuff was going on. Okay. Remember, I told you all about how when the women first came to campus, I don't know if you remember or not. Okay, when the women first came to campus, they would be traversing the campus at night and they would be hearing racial slurs. So we found out who did that and we dealt with that. We didn't need the administration. We didn't need nobody, the parent, we just, hey, look, okay, well, who's doing it? Okay, so as soon as that was brought to our attention, we dealt with that. Okay. People don't know, um, we struggle to get uh African American cuisine on the cafeteria menu. That was a big struggle right there. I mean, at that time we had this cuisine called soul food, which I don't partake of now. I mean, as a Muslim, I don't eat any pork, anything like that. But there was a lot of those dishes that I was, partaking of during those days. To whereas we wanted to see those dishes on the menu, we had to fight and struggle for that. Okay, so uh, you know, people do know about it, but people should know more, and that's what you all are helping us do. Okay, thank you all. Thank you, Alexis. Thank you, Natalia. Y'all helping us to bring about history, bring about information, to bring about things that have been submerged, have been obscured, like, and to a great extent have been suppressed. They don't want you to know, like, about, some of the struggles we went through to achieve racial justice on that campus. So yeah, they know about that. Whenever we go there, we've gone to all reunions, people talk about that. And there have been some commemorations. I don't think there's been a commemoration of the chapel incident, but there has been a couple of commemorations maybe, of the 72 boycott. I think in 2022, during a basketball game against Gonzaga, uh, the St. Mary's, well, for the St. Mary's Five, went to the basketball court, and during halftime they were honored there. Another time they were asked to come and do a speaking piece about those times. So they know about that, but they need to know more though. Okay, they need to know more. Now this is what they need to know. Then we're gonna go to the next question. Okay, and y'all know what I'm getting ready to say. That situation there that happened Friday, that would have had a different outcome altogether. Different outcome altogether. You see, we would have put them out of school. Okay, we wouldn't need that fifth grader of a president y'all have to put them out of school. We would put them out of school. Okay, we would put them out of school. Okay, all right. Alexis, don't be laughing, girl. You think everything funny.
I just love your comments. It makes me laugh every time I talk to you. So, it's a fun conversation. He's not right to tell
Now,
me.
I'm gonna be messing with you. Now you know that. Though.
Yeah, I know. Okay, I'll ask the next question. Oh my gosh, I'm having so much fun on a Monday. Um, okay, so next question. Are there any impactful stories during your time at SMC, either your own or someone else's, that you fear might be lost if you don't share them now? If so, what might we do to help preserve them?
See, y'all know what I need help with. Okay, first of all, um, just think, how would you feel after 50 years and you discover an African American woman who was an abolitionist, who was a millionaire entrepreneur, who used her financial resources to address racial justice across the country, who worked with Harriet Tubman, who worked with Frederick Douglass, who worked with the martyred John Brown to bring the Underground Railroad from the South all the way to the West Coast to California. So, you know, that is just a shame. That is a travesty to not have some recognition, some memorialization of Mary Pleasant on that campus. I do think, in terms of solutions for what we're dealing with right now with these racial slurs and all this harassment and stuff like that, there are short-term solutions, there are long-term solutions. Okay? Natalia, Alexis, one of the long-term solutions is that I think we need to have an ever-present, perpetual, lasting presence of Black pride on that campus. There needs to be a statue. There needs to be some sort of bus, with some inscription on there, like talking about her contributions, at that school. All those white races out there would not have that place to study if it weren't for her. Okay. So they're only thankful to their parents, maybe thankful to, people, as I said, like that fifth grader y'all have as president, but they're not aware of, there have been people, the land sits on indigenous people's land in the first place. Okay. And then you go from there and you have Mary Pleasant, you're like donating money to get the school started, And then there's, I got to do some research on this. There's even a piece where somebody was telling me, I read somewhere that the school burned. The school burned. The whole school was like disintegrated by fire. Um, Wait, hold on. And I think someone said she even gave money again to get the school restarted. I'm not sure about that. Okay, but I do know she was very instrumental in being one of the founding donors of the school. Those stories there need to be told. Okay, and that's what I wanted. That's what I kind of wanted to share with you guys too, because I think there may be something you can do right now in this moment to see if we can effectuate that, because we need short-term plans for this situation. Okay, some of the short things like I don't know if do you guys do an orientation piece? When you come to school as freshmen, do they give you an orientation session? Do they talk about anti-bias in this session? Do they talk? Do they talk about any aspect of the consequences for racial harassment or anything like that? Do they talk about that? Is that mentioned anywhere? Both
From
did
my
both?
recollection, which let me know to tell you this is wrong. I know they say the principles or whatever, but I don't recall them being like, oh, if you do these things, this will happen. Like I've
No.
never heard of that.
We need we need that, and then we need at least about during that orientation, we need about 15 minutes of instruction that's ethnic studies related. Okay. I mean, you can even talk about the history in terms of Mary Pleasant, like being involved in the founding of the school, which will, let people know, hey, look, people of color, like made contributions to this school. So, we're not here to have an incubator where we have all these, white nationalists and all these racists, and stuff like that. This is not a breeding ground for racism, which is what Thompson said. I read a letter Thompson wrote to the alumni, and he's saying that the press didn't get it right, and also what this kid's parents said was that they said that they wanted him to go. Thompson wanted him to go to another school or to another dorm. So all you're doing now, you're perpetuating a breeding grounds for racists. You're not saying the racists have to leave. You're saying the victims have to leave. Okay, and I mean that's just sick. So if you guys could help me with anything, I want you to get the word out there, because I mean that was the question. Was that the question, or did okay? If you guys can help me with anything, get the word out there about Mary Pleasant. Okay, now the other thing of it is, as I said, as a long-term, see, when people talk to me about this incident right here, I'm going to talk about we need more anti-bias training during orientation. For students, we need more anti-bias training for faculty members. For anybody that works there. All these people that run the resident, like the resident halls, whatever you call them, resident stuff like that. Okay, so if the brother told them about it, what did they do? Why is it taking so long to address this? So they need to be held accountable also. So all those people who work in any sort of authoritative position, anything, at school, they all need to go through cultural competency training. That's a short-term piece. Then we need to have transparency also right now. Okay, now you say you're investigating this. What are the timelines? When did this investigation start? Like what are the, what progress have you made? You need to report out to us at least once a week about this. We want to know what's going on. We want everything to be transparent. Okay, now there may be some immediate situations in terms of, that's why I checked in with you guys, because sometimes emotionally these things they could drain you. I mean, you're studying, trying to go to school, but it's not just like you can just go to school. Now you got to deal with this. Okay, so I mean, how are people doing there emotionally? Do we need to provide some emotional support? I'm just saying now, do we need to have people to come in and say, hey, look, like how you guys feeling, how you doing, and stuff, and like these are some ways you can use to take care of yourself, self-care. So we need short-term resolutions, but a long-term resolution would be establishing a memorialization or recognition of Mary Pleasant. Okay, now it can't just be the alumni. All right, we need some of you all too to take this as a task and include this in your long-term solutions. I know, Alexis, you said you on the BSU team and you all wrote a letter. That's because you got to let them know, hey, look, we don't like this. If we just don't do anything, it's going to continue. You see, Thompson tried to continue it anyway. Okay, you see, and he thinks it's just going to go away. Okay, you see, that's what he's planning on. That's what they do. They plan on it going away. Oh, well, they're not going to be talking about it next week. Oh, okay, we'll see. Okay, we'll see. We'll see. So that story needs to be told. Now, the first pioneering faculty members, okay, who came to that school, I think, they have transitioned now. May they rest in power. Their stories need to be told also, because they weren't just teachers. Okay. Odell Johnson was an administrator. dean of students, his story needs to be told. Karegi Hekamada, he was a philosophy instructor. He was, and they didn't just see us as students, they invited us into their homes. Okay, they gave us support, beyond the classroom. Okay, they lifted us up in the community, and then they allowed us to engage with the community. We had a professor from Kenya, Mugo Niaga. His story needs to be lifted up. Mr. Orton, who was a black psychology professor, his story needs to be lifted up. Teresa Green, her story needs to be lifted up. That's all I can think of for right now. But Teresa Green, Karegi Ekamar, Odell Johnson, Mr. Orton from the Black Psychology Department. Their stories need to be told. Their stories need to be told. Okay, they were part of that first pioneering group of African American studies professors. Okay, okay. And as I said, I'll probably think of somebody else too, but that's all I can think of for right now.
Thank you for sharing, Musheer. And speaking of current students, what advice might you give to current SMC students advocating for change today?
Yeah, don't get discouraged. Okay, and things are going to happen. So start with self-care first. If you like basketball, whatever you like to do in terms of what's your chill pill method? What do you do to chill? Make sure you stay chill, because these experiences in terms of fighting racial justice, it could be real tedious, it could be laborious, it could be something, that's really trying, and it could also take away from what you're trying to do academically. Okay, so take care of yourself first. Be determined. Okay, be determined. Okay, do not be afraid to address racial injustice. The reason why racial injustice prevails is because, especially like people in my generation, we haven't done enough to stand against it. Okay, we haven't done enough to stand against it. So, don't be discouraged, because you may hit a wall sometime. Okay, but keep in mind that our better angels, our better angels, Alexis and Natalia, they call us to the greater good. Okay, they call us to the greater good. So we still we strive. We work hard. Okay, to first focus on our academics. However, we know now, okay, it's nearly impossible at that school to just be single focused. It's impossible. We have to address these things, because I want you all to keep in mind that there are going to be others to come behind you. They may even be related to you. They may be some of your children or grandchildren. You would not want them to go through what you've gone through. And if we let this situation here go lightly by, the next 50 years or so, we may be seeing the same thing, just like you all are seeing the same thing I saw 50 years ago. Okay, you see? And you ask anybody from that era, you ask Liz, anybody you talk to, Maria, anybody you talk to, they know, I fought until, I mean, nothing was more important than creating a space to where it's like we can study, like in peace, like in racial justice, and those coming after me, can pursue their undergraduate or graduate uh, degrees, like I said too. So nothing was. I mean, we weren't extremists, but I mean, nothing was off the table. Nothing was off the table. Okay. So, and again, too, Herman and I are here, for you all. I want you all, utilize your resources. There are resources now that are presenting themselves that you can utilize. And I'm going to screen some of those resources too, because I don't want you all to be influenced by opportunists. Okay. And I don't want you all to be influenced by reactionaries, because you're going to see a flood of those people. What, as a matter of fact, I had a request to talk to somebody about the ethnic studies class. I said, well, no, like let me talk to my peeps first. Let me talk to the students first. I'm not talking. Herman is the same thing with Herman. Because see, Herman is coming out there today. Okay. And they want him to go and talk. No, Herman said, no, I want to talk to, my students first. I want to talk. Well, I mean, y'all not our students, but but then you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So, we don't talk to them first before, because there are people that are trying to get to the ethnic studies class right now to find out what we do every Monday. Okay. But a lot of these people are opportunists. A lot of these people are reactionaries. The people that you see on a regular basis, those are the people who you can trust, and those people are support. The people that you see now, and you never seen these people before, beware of those people. Okay. Beware of those people. Okay. Those people are going to flood in. They're going to want to be, because I'm suggesting that as one of the solutions is more cultural competency training, more anti-bias training. I'm suggesting that. Wait, what's wrong with that, Alexis? What's wrong with that? Why are you shaking your head?
Oh, no, someone came up to me. Sorry.
Okay, okay, okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize. Okay. So, so, like, beware that, take care of yourself, be determined, don't be discouraged. Do not get far away from your commitments in terms of why you're in ethnic studies class. Okay, because you want to broaden your horizons in terms of more knowledge about yourself and more knowledge about other ethnicities, which will help you in your careers. Okay, so stay focused on that. Okay, stay focused on that, and don't allow don't allow incidents, racial injustice incidents, to go unanswered. Do not allow that. Okay, we got to do that. Now that's on y'all now, because see, y'all are students. Okay, and y'all in the same position that I was in. You're in the same position that Herman and I were in. We didn't allow it. We didn't allow it. Okay. Did that answer the question? Okay. Alexis, was that good? Did that answer the question?
Yeah, that was good.
Okay.
I guess well, this is more so a personal question.
Yeah. Go
Because
ahead.
because
Go ahead. Ask me anything.
okay. Thank you, I appreciate it.
That's all
So
right.
for speaking of BSU, which I am part of, everyone basically is graduating but me. And they've been looking at me for becoming the new president of it.
Oh,
Yeah. Which is
go
really
ahead,
exciting. So I'll be president of
my
two
girl.
orgs. Yeah.
They did what?
So I'll be president of two organizations on campus. So I'll have two under my belt. But I guess a question I guess I want to personally ask you is just like in terms of like Mary Pleasant and then the consideration that happened now, like how can like of course like like BSC or even like students here and alumni, like I want to be able to make it so then future students can like see what the work that we're doing, and also being aware of like Mary Pleasant, and also being like, hey, this isn't okay, like what should like you already kind of said it before, like what we should do, but like what would be like the first step, do you think, like entering the leadership position such as that?
Okay, excellent question. Now wait, now you said you don't want to be. I mean, you said you don't want to be BSU president, or
Oh no,
what?
I do.
You
I do.
do? Did they vote already?
Well, we haven't voted yet. Voting's
Who
gonna be
else?
up though.
Who's running against you?
I don't know. I don't know who's running
Okay,
against me.
yeah. Well, you look. You need to do that now. Okay.
Okay.
All right, Madam President.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right, Natalia, you need to do that. You need to do that. I'm serious now. Okay. I mean, you ready for that?
Yeah.
Okay. So y'all got a lot to do right now.
Yeah.
Okay. And I hate to see this falling on y'all, but listen, we're here to help you all. And Liz is an attorney. Liz is a lawyer. Okay. And I know one other lawyer too. Okay. So you all need to develop long-term solutions and short-term solutions. The short-term solutions are to consist of, we want, hold on, we want transparency in terms of this investigation. The Black Students Union, the Chicano Students Union, or either if you all have an Asian whoever you have there are united, ethnically, like, you all want to coalesce together, and you all, want like one statement, with all your groups, like authorizing that statement saying, We want transparency, throughout this investigative process. We want to know specifically, like about the reporting process. Like when the brother reported this, who did he report this to, and then what happened after that? What are the timelines in terms of the reporting of the incidents and resolution of the incident? What are the timelines in terms of when the parents first approached the president, and how long did it take him to respond? He said uh, other people have talked to the family. Find out as much of that as you possibly can. Generally speaking, you're just asking for transparency. You want cultural competency training to be a part of freshman orientation. You want everybody that's in any kind of authoritative position on that campus, including faculty, to have cultural competency training. Okay. You want to have posted the reporting processes for harassment, in the dorms, posting, have it somewhere written. You post those processes. Well, what's the protocol for this? Okay, like once I give a report, when can I expect a response? Don't tell me if I tell you something on April 1st, you talking to me on April 28th? No. No. So we want to look at that, and you all know how to work through that. Okay, now a long-term piece, a long-term solution. What I would appreciate it very much if you all include, we'll say something like this. Okay, now put this in y'all's brain computers, because I see what's behind. I see behind the pretty faces. I see those brains tick. Like, now listen. Okay, so racism is fueled by ignorance. Okay, racism is fueled by miseducation. Okay, I'm speaking for myself too. A lot of us have been miseducated. This is a golden opportunity now for us to present the long-term solution of memorializing Mary Pleasant on that campus. That campus needs to have a source of pride for all people of color that is visible and that is ever present. It doesn't have to be like a transient sort of piece to where, we just gonna have a day, we're gonna celebrate Miss. No, we need to have some sort of memorial bus, or some sort of memorial statue, or some sort of place to where it's like we can say, okay, because they do tours when they do the alumni, when they the reunions, they do tours. Okay, but you know what though? The cultural center is not included in the tours. And I've been asking why and why and why. Oh, listen, you don't know what I go through. You don't know what I go through. Okay. So the cultural center needs to be in that area there, in that little quiet space right there. There needs to be some recognition of Mary Pleasant right there. That's a long-term solution. And I'm saying, like, if you want to justify it, we know that the more exposure we have to the history of indigenous people, of people of African ancestry, of Asian people, stuff like that, the less likely, these sorts of incidents will crop up, because what you're doing is you're trying to expose, people who've never been exposed, who are ignorant that, African Americans have made significant, Chicanos, indigenous people, Asians have made significant contributions to that school. Okay, and so that needs to be known. So I would recommend that as a long-term solution. Like, as final, look, this is what we want to do. We want to have, and two, uh I know you got Natalia, you aren't graduating, are you? No. Okay. So if you all ever, get a chance to present as a Black Students Union, or you present as a Chicano Students Union, or you present as an ethnic studies class, please mention Mary Pleasant. Talk about Mary Pleasant. Talk about, who Mary Pleasant was and what she did, not only for the school, what she did, for the Underground Railroad. Mary Pleasant financed Harper's Ferry. Harper's Ferry was where John Brown attempted to take over an arsenal that would be a military arsenal that was going to be used against Black people. Okay, but he was unsuccessful as far as his mission, but his name, lives in immortality. And also, Mary Pleasant financed Harper's Ferry. She paid for John Brown to go through that. Okay. That's to make a big issue event about her. Yeah, we appreciate that. We appreciate that, Alexa. That's big time. Straight up, we appreciate that. Okay. Thanks a lot. We appreciate that. And invite the administrators, invite the faculty people to come also. And in particular, don't forget this name. Brother David is the one who does, he's on the board too. So we'll be dealing with him in the days to come. I think he's vice president of the board. Okay. He's the one that does the history of the school. So I've said, while he was doing the history of the school, he didn't say anything about Mary Pleasant. And he really got upset when I started to ask him about her. And I was being real nice. Okay. And I'm not such a nice guy all the time. So anyway, when you think about how we can resolve these matters, we can't just focus on short-term solutions. Okay. We have to focus on long-term solutions too. Okay. So I would really think that would be very significant in terms of, like how we can effectuate a better respect, not just for Miss Pleasant, but for all students of color. Okay. All right. Cool. That's cool. I like that, Alexa. I like that.
Yeah, so speaking of Mary Pleasant, how did you come to know of her legacy?
Man, listen. Okay. So uh, I have one of my degrees is in history. The other one's in psychology, which I earned both there in 4 years from St. Mary's. And I like to do research on abolitionists. So I was looking on abolitionists, and I saw where John Brown had a letter. John Brown was hung. So when they took him down from the gallows, they now this is a story I heard. Okay, they searched his back pocket, and he had a letter, a message in there with the initials MP. So I said, well, who could this be? All right. So I started to do research and research and research. Then I discovered that the MP could be Mary Pleasant, who financed John Brown's raid on Harper's Ferry. Okay. So I said, okay, I got to research Mary Pleasant. In researching Mary Pleasant brought it was just through research, through the make the short answers through research. She brought the Underground Railroad to the West Coast. So once the former enslaved people arrived through that Underground Railroad process, she gave them financial resources. She gave them housing resources so they can get started. Miss Pleasance was there during the gold rush. The gold rush, 1800, mid 1860 something, whatever, like 50, whatever. It's like that. The gold rush era in California. So she set up a business that catered to a lot of these people who were working, looking for this gold. So she made a lot of money like that, and she had a wealthy husband. Okay, so she was able to really manage her wealth well, but she used her wealth for liberation issues. Okay, so she was an abolitionist. She was an entrepreneur who was very socially and culturally enriched. She gave back to people. She also used her money for legal resources. She launched filed a lawsuit either against the streetcar company during those days in San Francisco, either the city. So uh, African Americans could ride on the streetcar. At one time, African Americans couldn't ride on the streetcar. So she actually won that suit. She launched that suit and she won that suit. You see, so she's partly responsible for some of the freedoms we have right now, and she's daggone sure responsible for that school being the way it is. Okay, definitely. Okay, so that's how I ran across it. Just doing research. Like I love history. I love history. And believe me too, I'm not mentioning y'all by name, anything like that, but I'm sharing like with my friends and colleagues how much I love meeting with y'all. I mean, y'all something else. Seriously though, all of y'all something else. I mean, I'm really proud to be associated, with you all, Natalia and Alexis. I mean, I can't say enough how proud I am of that. Yeah, and I'm glad you all are okay. I'm glad you all are okay, because I mean, like I don't, I want y'all to have undergraduate experiences that are without any racial harassment, without any injustice, anything like that. And as I said, there are a group of alumni, Chicano alumni, African American alumni, gathering right now, like putting together like some ways whereas we think, we can address the situation. But most of all, we want to support you. We want to support you. Okay.
Yeah, I'm actually glad you said that because I just looked at the BSU Instagram and I'm like looking at the comments again about like the alumni reaching out. It's really sweet.
They are okay.
Yeah, a
All
lot
right,
of
cool.
alumni
That's
reached
good.
out, and even the mom of the kid reached out to us too and asked like how they can help out and stuff like that.
Y'all need to talk to them. Y'all need to talk to them. Okay, because get their ideas on how they would have liked to see this gone and how they want to see things look in the future. Y'all need to talk to them. Okay, I'm glad. That's a good thing. This, things looking good so far. Okay.
I'll talk to my team about that and see if we can like talk to the mom more and be
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
hey,
yeah,
let's
yeah,
get your
yeah.
mom.
Yeah.
Because honestly, if it was me, I'd be put their posters everywhere, show their faces.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah. If they, see with us, they wouldn't have had a phase left.
You can't go to jail, Musheer.
Yes, I can, Alexis.
I
I don't
can't.
care. I can. I don't care. I went before. I don't care.
Oh my god.
But come on, man, because look, we only got about 20 more minutes, I think, because I want to use some time at the end. So, okay, what's the next question? What's up, Maya? What's up? Maya's on.
Sorry, I joined a little later. I was at class.
Okay, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. We understand. What's the
See,
next question, y'all?
yeah, I don't know, Talia. You gotta answer to all of them. I don't know, Talia.
Really? Now you guys have any more questions by anything else, whatever. I don't care what it is. Now look, let me back up on something. Y'all don't do nothing like I would do. Don't do what I would do. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Don't get physical with nobody. Okay, don't, because see, that's what they really see, things were different during those days. Okay, things were different, during those days. So I mean, we had consequences, like I said, the FBI came out there looking for Herman. We told y'all that the Contra Costa Sheriff's Office came looking for me once. So don't do anything like that. Y'all use diplomacy. Okay, use diplomacy. Okay. Now in our day, we had a balance of power. It was a diplomatic balance of power and it was a physical balance of power. Okay. And a lot of those racial slurs that people were trying to do, they never even escalated anywhere. Okay, because we dealt with them right then and there on the spot. Okay. All right. But y'all can't be, don't do that now. Okay. I'm serious. I'm telling you right now, do not. Okay. So Alexis, I got your word. Don't do nothing like that. Okay. Maya,
I
do
already
not
have
get
my
physical.
response.
Don't get physical with nobody. Okay. Natalia, do not. I'm telling you, I'm serious now. Okay. Because y'all don't need to go through that part that me and Herman went through. Y'all don't need to go through that. The police looking for you, the FBI looking for you. Y'all don't need that. Okay. We can do this diplomatically. Okay. We'll get through this diplomatically. Okay. So look, we got about 15 minutes left. So that was the last question. Okay. Now listen.
Question. I'm
Yeah.
graduating this year. I was wondering, like, what are ways I can support Black students or just students of color in general, like as an alumni? Just because I
Yeah.
wasn't sure like how I see how you're doing it now, but like how I should go
Yeah.
about to help, especially with recent events.
Yeah. Okay. So keep in touch with Professor Viola. That's the keep in touch with him. The Black alumni, the uh the Black alumni over the years, Maya, has been off and on. It's been off and on. Okay. So that's going to be a task that we, you, me, Herman, and there's some people right now putting together strategies to support you all. Okay. So the first thing, we need to do is you keep in touch with Professor Viola. I'll keep in touch with him. And then I'll let you know when we are ready to meet. Do you live around the school? Where do you live?
I live
I
in
mean, just generally speaking.
like
You
I
live
live
where?
in 10 minutes from the school. I
You
live
live
10
where? Okay, listen. So we're going to have to put together a strong African-American alumni. Okay. Now here I go again calling out people. Okay. The current African-American alumni president, which he just assumed that position, I think maybe late last year or something like that. We're philosophically, Herman and I are here for everything. Okay. Herman and I had maybe like one argument in 50 years. Okay, which he won because I was wrong. Okay. But the current African-American alumni president now, I'm not comfortable with him. I'm not comfortable with him. And I'll tell him, okay, whatever I say here, I can say to anybody. Okay. So Maya, you're someone I want to work with you. Like I want you to be a part of our African-American alumni community. Okay. So you keep in touch because what Herman and I do at each alumni reunion, Herman and I do a piece on what we're doing right now. Okay, we do a piece on the history of the school. We talk about the history of racial injustice in the school, and traditionally we would do it in the intercultural center, which used to be the multicultural center, which used to be a whole nother thing before. Okay, so the past year we had trouble getting into the intercultural center. Like they didn't want to let us in there, but we finally got in there. It was about 60 alumni, Black and brown alumni, Asian alumni in there. And we talked about Mary Pleasant. I told him about Mary Pleasant. And then we also talked about like ways we can be more supportive to the current students there. So because some of the people there had and we're gonna end at 11:30, but I need all this time, y'all. Okay. Is that okay? All right. So and I promise we're gonna get out of here hard at 11:30. So it was a few people in there were talking about how their kids and grandkids were students at the school, and they were dealing with racial injustices. Okay, not just on behalf of the students, they were dealing with that's on the fact. So every year we've had a reunion over the 50 years. We have a 10-year reunion, we have a 5-year reunion. Okay, so you're graduating, and you're at 25, right? That's Herman's year. So that's Herman's year. So we'll be there. So so now listen, just give your information to Professor Viola, and then we'll be in contact with you because we want to continue these sessions at the reunions to where it's like, we can do, they didn't even want to do a tour of the Intercultural Center. No, they did not. Okay. They didn't even want to open the building. Okay. So we got the building open and we had a conversation there about how we can better support an environment that will be nurturing and nourishing for Black and brown and Asian students. Yeah. So what I need you to do is be a part of this alumni group. Okay. All right. All right. Anything else? You guys got anything else?
Well, thank you again, Musheer. But I guess one question, or since I have my, do you guys have any other questions? I just have one.
So you're all good.
Okay. I guess the question I have is like, did you see the president's response at all?
Yeah, I saw. Well, he said something to I don't know what he responded to, but I got something from the alumni. He sent the alumni a letter. He sent the alumni. Yeah, he did. He did. He did. He was saying like hold on. Dang it. I'm telling you. I mean, look, this guy has mentality of a 5th grader. All right. So look, let me. He sent us a letter. Now you all may have seen this before. Okay. Wait, hold on. Just right quick here, because I know we're running up against a hard stop. Where is it? I got the thing. Yeah, it was yesterday, as a matter of fact. Let me just kind of like paraphrase what he's saying. Okay. He's saying the press didn't get it right. Okay. He's saying that, and this is one of the most immature things I've ever heard a college president say. He said that he supported the transfer of the student to another school. Why would you support that transfer to another school as opposed to embracing the student, embracing the family, and assuring them that you're going to do everything within your power to make the campus safe, to bring about racial justice to the campus? Okay, he said that's basically what he said. Then he's also saying that he reached out to the family, but they didn't respond. They didn't respond to anything like that. He's also saying that he put things in place to address the situation, but he didn't talk about any timelines, anything like that. You know, look, we got about 7 minutes. So oh wait, here it is. I found it. I found it, y'all. Now look, just peek this here for a minute. Okay. And look, I'm gonna do this fast. Okay. Dear St. Mary's alumni community, yesterday evening, ABC 7 local news ran a story regarding recent incidents of racism and vandalism on our campus in one of our resident halls and class restrooms. As can sometimes be the case with media reports, important, accurate facts and context were not disclosed. Let me make this clear. St. Mary's does not tolerate discrimination, harassment, or acts of hate in any form. We will continue our efforts to create a safe, respectful, and inclusive environment for all community members. We are guided by our Lasallian principles and traditions, which include a respect for all persons, and we are committed to providing an inclusive environment where all students can thrive. Now, that's just fifth grader stuff. Okay. Over the last 9 months, serving as president at St. Mary's, and look, I've spoken to this guy twice to try to bring attention to Mary Plessy. Okay. I have a very dear friend of mine, okay, a former professor emeritus at St. Mary's, who was trying to get him to talk about Asian studies. He didn't want to talk about Asian studies. Okay. And on and on. Okay. Over the last 9 months, serving as president at St. Mary's, I have learned so much about our community. For those getting to know me, you will know that providing the best student experience is one of my most important areas of focus since I arrived. That's just phony stuff. St. Mary's is our students' home away from home, and we will work to ensure that every student is seen, heard, and known here in an inclusive and safe community. That's so antithetical to what he's been telling me and what he's been telling my friends. St. Mary's took immediate action when the incidents of vandalism and hateful language were reported. These acts violated St. Mary's College of California's harassment and discrimination policy. The college campus safety office and Moraga Police Department responded immediately to investigate. So, responded immediately to investigate. Give me when the reports were made and when the police response was made. Okay. In addition to the active ongoing investigation, several substantive meetings have taken place with students, SMC student life, and residential hall personnel. Examples of meetings, communications, and other actions include several residential meetings, a mandatory meeting with all students in the resident hall in question, follow-up visits by residential staff to those individuals who could not attend the mandatory meeting, and multiple individual student meetings with campus officials have occurred. Door knock visits with students in the resident hall in question. I mean, why not knock on everybody's door? Why just do the resident hall in question? But knock on everybody's door, as well as community standards. I don't even know what that means. Share avenues for reporting. What are those avenues? And to ask specific questions about recent incidents. What were the questions? A notice was sent to the full campus community describing the incident and offering resources and information on reporting such incidents. Extra patrols were assigned around campus to ensure safety. To deter further incidents, a meeting was held with the impacted students' parents and me. We heard about that meeting over the news. I listened attentively to, now check this out. Listen to this, okay? We got like about 6 more minutes. Listen, y'all, listen. Now listen. See, this fifth grader stuff here. I listened attentively to what the family was experiencing, offered assurance that a full investigation was underway, and presented options such as moving the student to a different resident hall. That's stupid. That's stupid. Who's to say a racist can't go from one residence hall to another? Okay. I expressed understanding about the parents' wish. Now listen, I expressed understanding to the parents wish for their student to transfer and reiterated the college's commitment to providing a safe environment for all the students. Okay, so if you are so intent on providing a safe environment for the students, why do you want the guy to transfer? You know, so what? You're going to make this place now an incubator for racism. You're going to make this place an incubator for white racists who are going to exude racial slurs as students of color. Okay, that's fifth grader stuff. My grandson knows better than that. I could tell you a quick story about my grandson, but we don't have time for that right now. I tried, and he's only what, 8. I tried in this meeting to help the family understand the time required to gather information. So we want to know timelines. We want transparency. What timelines to conduct fact-finding interviews? Who's doing the fact-finding, and pursue other investigatory steps. Okay, this is the last paragraph. Oh wait, hold on. Right quick. As this is an ongoing investigation, we are unable to provide further details. Once again, St. Mary's College aspires to be fully inclusive community whose students feel safe, secure, respected, and welcome. But you're trying to transfer people out of there who are victims of racism. We will not tolerate discrimination, again, a hypocrite, harassment, or acts of hate in any form. Rest assured that we will continue to work diligently to ensure such violent racist acts do not happen again, and that the impacted student is fully supported. Any student found responsible will face disciplinary action through the conduct system. Thank you for helping. And the rest is just the salutary sort of clothing. Respectfully, Roger Thompson. So have any of those things taken place? He had meetings with you all? Has he had meetings with you all? You serious?
I have not talked to that man once this entire year, and I was on SMC News. I haven't talked to that man once.
but I mean, has he had meetings, student body meetings, student group? Has he called the students to assemble? Well, you see what he's saying here, okay? You see what he's saying here. So, okay, was any of that ring true to you all? As far as like what he's doing with the students and investigations and all of that? None of that.
A lot
Okay.
of students I know, like they didn't even know what happened until like I sent them the video. Like it's not really talked about.
Okay. All right. So I've encountered him twice personally so far. And I'm telling you, right quick, no, we only got 3 minutes left. Okay. So like let me tell y'all this right quick. Okay. We are here, the alumni is, as we speak, we have an attorney who's a real great California renowned attorney, Elizabeth Sandoval. She was in our era. Okay. We have former African-American and Chicano officials that are working to support you in every way. So tell me right now in this last 2 minutes, how can we best support you all? Okay, what do you all need us to do? Okay, now listen, we may have to get together again as a whole class. Okay, you see, and it may not be during a class time. We may have to I'm going to talk to Professor Viola because see, I don't want to move forward unless we know we're working together. We want to work with you all, and we're here to support you all. This is not about us. And I'm telling all these people in the alumni, I know all these people who are putting together all these letters and all these. I know all these people. So now there may be some I don't know. Okay, Tom Brown, he's involved in this. Liz Sandoval is involved in this. Okay, of course, Herman is coming out there. And I'm thinking I'm gonna have to come out there too, but let's work through you all first. Let's see how we can do to support. I'm gonna talk with Professor Viola to see maybe if we can have a class meeting, to where it's like we get you all's input, like in terms of how we can best support y'all. Okay, so once again, just this clarification. None of these things that in terms of these meetings, none of these things have taken, in other words, he has not called for a student body assembly to address these issues. Okay, you all stay on campus? Who stays on campus? You, Alexis, you stay on, no, okay. Natalia, you stay on campus? Okay, has anybody knocked on your door? Okay, he should be knocking on, they should be knocking on everybody's doors. Not just the affected resident, but everybody's doors, okay? So none of this stuff that he's saying here about all these meetings, these things haven't even taken place, have they? Okay, good, cool. Okay, cool. Now listen, Professor Viola knows how to get in touch with me. All right. So listen, y'all feel free to reach out. If I don't get to you right away, if I don't answer right away, I'll hit you as soon as I can. I promise you, okay? Because like we got y'all on this, okay? Y'all just let us know what y'all need. We got y'all. Okay, we got y'all. Okay. All right, love y'all now. Y'all take care. Take care. Now look, don't let this take you away from your studies now. Okay, remember, I'm always saying, like, focus on that first. Okay, and don't do nothing violent. Okay, y'all can't handle this. Y'all, look, the FBI came looking for Herman, the sheriff's department came looking for me, and I didn't, I mean, I did what I did, but I mean, I don't want y'all going through that. Okay, that's why I did it. Okay, so do not get into any physical trouble or anything like that. Only if it's just a last resort. Okay, most stuff, I don't say walk away from, back away from. Don't turn your back on anybody. Okay, walk away from that. Okay, and like I said, like we will be in touch, real soon. All right, all right. Okay, love y'all now. Y'all take care now. Y'all
Thank you,
take care.
Musheer.
Thank
Okay,
you.
all right. Y'all take care. All right.